guys, I just finished working out and I figured what better time to talk about the Hunger Games than after a really intense workout. To me, the Hunger Games is like a brilliant mix of The Lottery, 1984, a little bit Lord of the Flies, and all these other kind of, dystopian fantasy novels. It, along with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I'll be reviewing later, really helped me realize that just because a book is really hyped up does not make it bad. I mean, the reason why I really stayed away from The Hunger Games is because it, like a lot of other books I've read, like, The House of Night and the Evermore series, were so overhyped that when I read them and I saw how bad they were, it kind of made me really think that maybe I should avoid books that are really hyped up. When Mockingjay came out, everything was lit. Like, it was crazy, it was like madness, it was like everyone was really excited for this thing. It was just like how people felt like, when Breaking Dawn and all those other books came out. And I thought, I'm missing out something. I'm missing out on this for better or for worse, Either way, I should be able to read this book and find out what it's about. And I'm glad that I read it because it definitely was for the better. The synopsis is like this. In the ruins of a place once known as North America lies the nation of Panem, a shining capital surrounded by 12 outlying districts. The capital is harsh and cruel and keeps the districts in line by forcing them all to send one boy and one girl between the ages of 12 and 18 to participate in the annual Hunger Games, a fight to the death on live TV. Anything that puts like a bunch of kids in harm's way to entertain the bourgeoisie, it's kind of like my cup of tea. I like the idea that the capital is not only able to take these kids from their home, but turn them into these gladiators. It's fascinating because we all read these books and we think, well, why aren't they all like rebelling against them? Why are they all listening to them? Why aren't they just, being like, no, we're going to rebel against you? It makes you think that they have obviously done something to really crush the spirit of these people, because you would assume that, okay, they're going to rebel, but they don't. They recognize that this is what they have to do, so they all fight to the death. There's a little bit of a slow point before part 2 with the training, and I feel like it dragged on a little bit much. But not enough to make me stop reading, but I felt like that little part is probably kind of a point where people were kind of like laxing about it. We're like, I don't really know if I want to keep reading it. Keep reading it, because that's just a slow point, but it really picks up. Once the action started, I didn't really want it to end, Once I did get to all those good parts, those dull moments showed to be relevant in later parts. It's a build-up, so you get it out the way so that later on you understand why these things are happening, because it's already been explained. And things can move forward and faster in part 2. And in book 2, because you've got all this explanation out the way. For the characters, which I know is really important, I really enjoyed Katniss's character. I felt like she was realistic, and so were her abilities. Every talent she had was already laid out in the beginning of the book, like the hunting and knowing the different plants. It's been established in the beginning that her father taught her. She's been doing this her whole life, so it doesn't go out of place. She doesn't gain new abilities during the course of the books, over the course of this one book, because I haven't read the rest of the series yet. So everything makes sense, Her abilities make sense. What she can do makes sense. And the writer never makes it seem as though she gets powers without any warning or gains anything without any warning. Everything is a process. The relationship between her and her mother was also very compelling and realistic, because I don't like stories where like the girl raises the mother because the mom was trying to like cling to like some sort of sentiment of youth and being really irresponsible. Because while that happens, I also feel like it's kind of become kind of a cliche, that mother who just is trying to be young or is too immature to handle things. What we really have here is we have a woman who has lost, her husband, and really dealing with the trauma of that and not being able to cope, because, you're used to having this man who brings home everything, who takes care of the hunting and the fishing and all that kind of stuff, and now he's gone and you're left with these 2 children and you don't know what the fuck to do, because you're grieving, but you also have to take care of these kids, and it just gets lost in perspective. And, she had a legitimate reason for being almost neglectful, even though it's not a positive thing. And I'm glad to see a scenario where, like, the younger sibling isn't a brat, because it makes Kat's sacrifice for her sister more touching. As for Peta, I don't know if it's Peta or Peta, but I'm just going to pronounce it as Peta. If it's wrong, please correct me, because I know I probably mispronounced the name of the capital as well. I'm so happy that he's not immortal, he's not a vampire, he's not a werewolf, he's not a demon, or wizard. He's just plain old human. And I really am happy for that. Even though I love supernatural novels and all that kind of stuff, I'm tired of like this normal girl and this really like special guy. He's not special. Not to say he's not interesting, but he's not special. He has his talents, and he has what he's good at, but he also is better at other things, you know? And he has normal teenage boy insecurities that make him appealing as a male lead. And he's imperfect without being useless. And his abilities really complement Kat. Like, what she's good at, he's not, but he also has, this, like, his strength, where she really just has, like, her speed and dexterity. They both complement each other, and when they work together, it's, like, a good fit. I heard someone call him a Sue. I haven't read the second book, so I don't know how it progresses to there. But from the first book, he really didn't come off as a Sue to me, so hopefully that will stay through the next book. And I was really surprised by how much I liked their relationship. I found it really adorable. Partly because it had this weird mixture. Like, the life or death situation, when you're in a life or death situation, like, everything's plummeting, emotions run high. So that kind of thing where when they're finally in that kind of environment and they kind of come together, it makes sense that they would in that kind of situation. But anything other than that, it's kind of like she doesn't really know how she feels even though he does. It's nice to see her not really knowing, I don't really know if I care about him yet. I like kissing him and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know if I want to be with him. And that, to me, was really refreshing, and I like that she didn't fling herself onto him. She's like, I don't really know yet. Because that's the reality. Sometimes we don't know how we feel about somebody, even though we like being around them. I thought she was going to end up with that guy who was her friend in the beginning of the book, and I'm glad that didn't happen, because that would be kind of predictable. A little complaint, which is kind of not really a complaint because it makes sense, but not all secondary characters were fleshed out, but considering what happens to them, or what's supposed to happen to them, it's better that they remain a mystery, because when you do learn about, like, one or two of the characters, it kind of hurts more, because you know that they have to die. Final grade is an A. It's not an A+ book to me, but it comes pretty damn close. It takes ideas from multiple places, but it still manages to be its own story. And I love the leads. They didn't make me want to rip out my hair in frustration because they were idiots, so I love them for that. I'm also glad that the romantic elements were not traditional. There was a hint of politics intertwined with it, where you didn't know if it was for love or it was for just trying to get up survival. That whole kind of complexity of the relationship, which wasn't just based on, you know, we can't be together because you're a werewolf and I'm a human being, because I don't care. The success of this book has made me very excited for the future, because, you know, it proves that we like strong leads, we like complex romances, we do enjoy those things, and I think it tells people that young adult is not just that, because while those of us who read the genre kind of religiously know that it's not one knit, people who are outsiders looking in may look and say, oh, they really only care about that, they're not interested in that. We do like those complex stories. We do like stuff about really challenging characters. It's just that sometimes you have books that are really engaging that are good, and books that are not that engaging and are still entertaining. And I felt like this was a great balance, and I can't wait to read Catching Fire eventually when I finish the rest of the books on my list. So, Hunger Games is definitely hyped for a reason. If you were unsure about it because of the hype, give it a chance. Even if there are flaws with it, it's still 10 times better than half the other shit I've been reading. So, Hunger Games, definitely check it out. Well, if everything goes according to plan, I will be updating on Thursday, and I will be doing a Melina on writing. And hopefully during the week, I want to get to a video that's really about abusive relationships and the supernatural love interest, because I really feel like I've been reading a lot of supernatural romance books, and I really think I need to touch on this, because people don't understand something really simple. Just because your love interest is supernatural does not mean he should get more leeway for being borderline abusive. So looking forward to that, looking forward to seeing you guys soon, and love you.